A long time ago, in a game with a sequel still so very far away, I wanted to be all sneaky, but instead of stabby or shooty, I wanted to sling spells from the shadows like the magical assassin I really didn't have the stomach to be, and I've been chasing that high ever since.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Thanks to Baldur's Gate 3, I think I've finally found a way to fulfill that power fantasy, or I could have just played Dishonored, I guess. Today, we are going to talk about making a spell sniper, a sneaky magical assassin in Baldur's Gate 3. Now remember, around here we talk about problems and solutions. Honestly, this build had a pretty big problem for the first 2 acts. Mainly, it sucked at what I wanted it to do. Check out the Discord for the written build and the actual build guide, and say hi while you're there. Let's jump into it. So this spell sniper build has gone through some pretty big changes for my now completed honor mode run. Initially, I wanted the build to really lean into the spell sniper feat and act as a crit fisher. This is because magic builds can actually achieve the highest crit chance in the game thanks to the namesake feat of this build, spell sniper. If you stack all of these crit chance increases and get a reliable source of advantage, you can roll crits as low as 13, which with advantage will happen very often. Couple this with the fact that my choice class, a draconic sorcerer, can twin cast cantrips for very cheap, which already turns our cantrips from a 3d8 or a 3d10 to a 6d8 or 6d10 in the late game, and there are going to be a lot of damage dice rolling if we manage to get crits on both targets. Critting both targets on a twin casted cantrip can be as high as 12d10 plus at least 2 times your charisma modifier, but possibly as high as 6 times your modifier. If you use Ray of Frost or Shocking Grasp instead of Firebolt, that can be 12d8 plus 6 times your charisma modifier times 2 if you made the target vulnerable to lightning or frost damage via the wet condition. That is a massive amount of damage for very cheap from just a cantrip and a sorcery point. The problem is that the crit chance comes online so late into the game that you don't really get to enjoy it. So I went looking for a reliable source of advantage to naturally bump my crit chance up in the early game. At first, I looked at Wild Magic Sorcerer, but their on-demand advantage comes with the obvious downside of Wild Magic Surges. Draconic Sorcerer really just is a better sorcerer than Wild Magic for honor mode. I also wanted to be able to sneak, so the obvious choice was a Rogue multiclass. 2 levels of Rogue gets bonus action dash, disengage, and hide, all of which are very useful for mobility. Hiding is especially useful because it gives advantage on weapon attack rolls. It also gives advantage on spell attack rolls. Awesome. At level 3 though, Rogues get their 3 subclasses, and one of them is especially interesting for a spell sniper, Assassin. Assassin Rogues get to refresh their action and bonus action if they initiate combat. They can get automatic advantage against targets that haven't taken a turn yet, and they get automatic critical hits against surprised enemies if they land the attack. This all works with spells and obviously fits the theme extremely well. So what's the problem? Most combats were taking 3 or more rounds, and a certain Act 2 boss took me 45 minutes and probably 30 rounds to take down. The reasons for that insanely long fight are many, but a big one is this. After the first round of combat, an Assassin Rogue is just a level 2 Rogue. After that first turn, Assassin Rogue offers nothing that an arcane trickster or a thief can't do better. Assassins are all about hitting hard and fast, but during boss fights with hundreds of health and high armor class and resistances, a martial assassin with 1 big hit works much better than a spell sniper that can't use the sneak attack dice. Now, I still think the sneaky cantrip twin casting spell sniper I made is a valid playstyle. I did win that fight, and I did beat honor mode with the build alongside an Abjuration Wizard Cleric, an Eldritch Knight melee fighter, and a Beastmaster Ranger. But that one fight got me thinking, what are my other options for this arcane assassin? This is what I want to talk about for the rest of this video. What are the options to make this build? If you just want the build, check out my Discord where I have detailed write-ups of all of my builds, including this one. But here's the question. How do I make the spell sniper archetype work, and which classes can get me that? Now, before you start saying arcane trickster, arcane trickster, arcane trickster, I know about that now, but before, everyone told me that arcane trickster was bad, so I just was like, no, I should be a sorcerer with whatever else. I'm gonna have a video coming out on arcane trickster soon because I actually think it's very slept on now. Back to this one. The absolute main priority is bonus action sneaking and reliable access to advantage. There are 3 ways to get that feature every turn, and each come with some specific perks for a spell sniper. Let's take a look at them. First up, Rogue levels 2 through 4 all get these features. Rogue offers some major advantages for a sorcerer-based arcane assassin that has nothing to do with combat. Expertise. Rogue's ability to double your proficiency bonus in conversation skills like Persuasion couples insanely well with the sorcerer's already really high charisma modifier. This one bonus makes Rogue an excellent mid-game choice for this build, just because you can clear out 3 to 4 of the major bosses in Act 2 just by talking your way through them. It really is powerful. Beyond expertise though, you get access to solid mobility with bonus action dash and disengage, and of course bonus action hide so that you can be sneaky and fire off a spell in the same turn. Or better yet, fire off a spell and then sneak so that you're less likely to be targeted between turns. The Rogue subclasses at level 3 all offer something else that is interesting to a spell sniper. Assassin Rogue offers a free action and free crits when you initiate combat with a surprise round and not from a conversation. Arcane Trickster offers some utility spells and cantrips alongside a tiny bit of spell slot progression. The problem with Arcane Tricksters is that they're intelligence casters, so they pair better with a wizard if you want to make that kind of arcane assassin. And finally, Thief offers an additional bonus action which pairs really well with sorcerers that want to use the Quicken meta magic to fire off extra spells in a turn. Quickening can be quite resource intense, but very powerful on a build like this if you have access to that extra bonus action to hide, or to dump even a 3rd cantrip or spell in a single turn. Of these 3, I think Thief is probably the most powerful if you want to lean into the quicken spell aspect. It allows for fantastic burst damage on turns that you want, that you can apply at the beginning of the fight or at any point during the fight, and it also allows you to take potions, to heal or haste yourself, dash and hide in the same turn, or whatever else you can think of. Basically, additional action economy is wicked strong and beats out guaranteed critical hits on 2 to 4 cantrip casts on the first turn of combat some of the time. Like, we all know that Thief is broken. It just is. It's super strong. But Rogue isn't our only option. And though Thief is very powerful, I'm not sure it's the best. It isn't what I decided to settle on, at least. That's for sure. Next up is a very, very weird multiclass for a sorcerer. Monk. At level 3, monks get their subclass, which allows you to pick Way of the Shadow, which comes with bonus action hide. On the way to level 3 though, monks also get bonus action disengage and dash, as well as patient defense. This may seem super odd, but I think a Way of the Shadow Monk can make a lot of sense here. Shadow monks get access to darkness, silence, and pass without trace, all of which are excellent concentration spells when you want them, especially if you're trying to run like a stealth party. Additionally, their bonus action dash and disengage can provide significantly more mobility at the cost of limited uses per day, because they allow you to jump as many times as you want after you've used the feature. This mobility is only matched by Misty Stepping, but it can even exceed Misty Step and costs a resource refreshed on a short rest instead of a long rest, which is very powerful. Add in the fact that you can cast 2 darknesses, or 2 silences, or 2 pass without traces per short rest, assuming you don't bonus action dash, disengage, whatever, and you have a very powerful combination. Add in the unarmored movement, and a Way of the Shadow Sorcerer starts to look like an insanely mobile sorcerer with some extra resources to play with throughout the day. Is it a weird combination? Sure. But is it good? I think it's pretty solid. Weird side note, Shadow Step, the monk level 6 feature that basically lets you Misty Step every turn, also gives you advantage on melee spell attack rolls like Shocking Grasp, or any spell that works with the Daredevil gloves, assuming you have the Daredevil gloves equipped. Is this worth using? Probably not, because a 6th level monk should probably just be a monk. But it is a pretty cool feature. Anyway, the last option, and the one that I actually settled into during the final act of my honor run with this character, is Gloomstalker Ranger, which I think had the most benefit specifically because I was not quickening spells very often. First, Gloomstalker offers weapon and armor proficiencies, which doesn't seem like much, but this includes shield proficiency for races that don't already have it. These proficiencies open up some very powerful shields like the Sentinel Shield or Ketheric Shield, as well as the best medium or even heavy armors in the game to make you significantly more tanky if you want to wear armor instead of the boat and robe. Second, Gloomstalkers also get a +3 to initiative, which is the equivalent to the best initiative boosting items in the game, like the Sentinel Shield. +3 to initiative is the equivalent of 16 dexterity on its own. It's 3/5 of the alert feat, 3/5 of the elixir of vigilance, and is just extremely powerful. It allows you to almost always go first in conjunction with solid dexterity bonus and another initiative boosting item, which is very strong, allowing you to cover the field in ice with a big ice storm spell or scroll. You can fire off powerful twin casted or quickened spells, or crowd control the most important enemy in the battle. This is extremely good on your caster who may only have a base of 16 or even 14 dexterity for initiative. This and the next benefit are the biggest reasons I chose Gloomstalker over Monk and Thief. The final reason I chose Gloomstalker over Monk and Thief is that Gloomstalkers are Rangers, and Rangers are half casters. This means that the 3 levels in Gloomstalker or 4 levels in Gloomstalker count toward spell progression. With 4 levels of Gloomstalker and 8 levels of Sorcerer, you still get 2 5th level spells, and you can use scrolls for your 6th level spells anyway, so you haven't really lost anything. This is fantastic because the only other way to get 2 5th level spell slots on this setup with bonus action hide is the 2 levels of Rogue route. However, this 4 and 8 level split does not let you actually learn 5th level spells. You can only upcast to 5th level. If you want to learn the all-important hold monster spell for a certain Act 3 fight, you can take 3 levels of Gloomstalker with 9 levels of Sorcerer for the same number of spell slots, but with access to real 5th level spells. I didn't do that fight this run because I took the deal, so I took the 4th level of Gloomstalker for a 3rd feat and called it good. But here's the thing. Even though I beat Honor Mode with this build alongside a fun party, I am not at all confident that the Gloomstalker is the best choice for the Arcane Assassin. I think the 3 best choices are probably Gloomstalker, 2 levels of Rogue, and then maybe Thief or Shadow Monk, I'm not really sure, but I honestly have no idea. Each has distinct advantages, and I think all of them pair pretty well with a spell sniping Sorcerer for different reasons. So maybe they're all good? Maybe Sorcerer is just wicked strong? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, and then come hang out with me at twitch.tv/creativeexcuses to help me beat Honor Mode with a fun Paladin, Druid, multiclass build, the Underdark Knight. Until then, I'll see you all in the next excuse.